Hi, I'm Al Baldessaro,
And I'm Janine Nodder.
and this is Who's Looking Out for You. Janine, we got a special guest today there, and, I'm
Oh.
sure we can talk about it. Didn't you have something that you wanted to bring up, a little trivia before we got started?
Well, what's that? Who's our guest again?
I think it's
Tall
tall guy, Senator Scott Brown.
Scott Brown.
He
I
s-
ran against Scott Brown.
Did you?
I
How'd
did.
that happen?
Oh, he won, of course, but
Was that in a race,
Yeah.
or was that
yeah, ran against Scott Brown in a race.
in a
And,
race? Wow, that's
I
unbelievable.
was,
First of
putting
all,
along at 10-minute miles, and he was doing 7.5-minute miles, texting, mind you. I'm passing him. I'm like, this Senator
He was
Scott
running
Brown.
and texting?
He was
Texting.
texting.
He
I
was
saw
not
him. I saw
texting.
his
He was
phone.
not texting.
well, we're
He
going to
won.
find out in a
Was
few
that
minutes.
the, what race was that? That was the Mardi Gras one?
Cinco de Mayo.
That was
Yeah.
a fun race.
Yeah.
1,500 people in the incentive, Al, and we got to get you out there as you do get a beer or a margarita or both.
Right,
at the end
both.
of the race.
I'd go
and
for
a nice
both.
shirt.
I'm not
yeah.
bashful.
And a lot of people wear mustaches, and I had the thing,
Well, you know what-
Tilma. I don't
Yeah, you
know.
look
You know what
great.
most people don't know about Senator Scott Brown? He's a military man also.
Right.
I think he'll let us know anyways. If I'm not mistaken, I think he served like 36 years in the National Guard and not a Marine, so I won't hold it against him. But we'll have to get him over to the American Legion here in Londonderry.
Well, we should probably
one day.
officially welcome
But
him to the
anyways, why don't
show.
you welcome him?
Welcome,
Yeah.
Scott.
Scott, welcome
Al, good
to
to see you
Who's
again.
Looking Out for You.
Good to see you.
Jeannie, why don't we start off
Glad
with
you
you?
shaved, actually.
All right.
I clean up pretty good.
What makes you the best candidate to beat Jean Shaheen, and also what made you decide to run in New Hampshire?
Well, let's start with why I'm running. I'm running because I care about New Hampshire. I want to help restore America because we're in deep trouble. You see what's happening. I believe the world's on fire. You see we had one of our own murdered, beheaded, and ISIS wants to put a flag in the White House. They're well-funded, well-armed, and we have obviously what's happening in the Ukraine with Russia. We have what's happening in Africa, Israel with Hamas. The world's on fire and the president's golfing. And we have a senator right now who's representing us who votes with the president over 99% of the time. She's on the Foreign Relations Committee, and she has endorsed those failed policies. So I'm running because I want to restore the America that we all know. Why can I beat her? Well, according to the most recent polling, I'm down 2. I'm running against 2 good guys, Jim and Bob. I respect them and their supporters, but I believe I have the tools, the resources, the ground game, and the ability to run against somebody who's entrenched and will use every dirty trick as they're using right now to make sure that it doesn't happen. And I believe we have to reestablish who we are as a state and who we are as a country, and I believe I can do that.
All right, I have a question and a follow-up question, because I think you're all good candidates, but after the primary, we all need to be on the
Absolutely.
same page. So
Yeah.
if you win the primary, I'll support you 100%.
Yeah.
If you don't win the primary, will you support
Yeah,
Jim or
already on
Bob?
record. I was the first one to actually come out and say that. And that'll be that night. I'll be happy to pick up the phone and offer any support I can. And we need Bob, and we need Jim, and we need you, and we need Al. Because guess what? A united Republican Party with those good independents and good JFK Reagan Democrats is Senator Shaheen and every other Democrat's worst nightmare. It'll help in Concord. It'll help in D.C.
Do you know, I was a Reagan Democrat coming from Cambridge, Mass.
Yeah.
My grandfather was from Massachusetts, a mayor of Cambridge. My uncle was a state representative. I was a Democrat all the way 3/4 through Reagan's first term. I didn't vote for Reagan, but I did vote for him the second term, and I seen the light.
Have you-
I learned how to
Yeah.
spend my own money, and I became a Republican.
Have you
My
done
first
something?
vote was for Reagan. Reagan,
Yeah.
the party. He was the guy when my mom was on welfare and we had nothing. You know, I remember him saying, we're the party of opportunity. You work hard. You work 2 or 3 jobs. You join forces with a buddy. You create a company. You create the American dream, the American way. That's our party. The party
Right.
that ended slavery, the party that helped women
Yes.
get the right to vote. We're a party of opportunity and good ideas. That's our party.
Right. No, I agree. Do you know a lot of the people in my district here in Londonderry work in Massachusetts? And what a lot of them aren't aware, we worked hand in hand when you were a state senator
Yeah.
on the toll wars.
Absolutely.
And we were able, you
It's the first
stopped
time I
on the
met you.
Massachusetts side, we stopped it on the, New Hampshire side. But I have a question here, very important to me. With all that's going on abroad, what would you do different to improve our standing in the world? And the reason before you go into, I'm asking this, I'm a former chairman of the State and Federal Relations, Committee on Veterans Affairs. I have not seen Shaheen in 2 years. We invited her to our committee to brief us on what's going on, and she's refused to show up at the State House.
Senator Ayotte
So
came.
I want you to also touch on to that
Well,
when you.
I wrote a letter in October asking the president, please don't leave Iraq as is. Don't leave a transition force. You know, that's common sense.
Right.
We did it in Germany. We did
Right.
it in Korea. We've done it in Japan. To think that you could just leave as is, see you later, and blame it on the fact that we didn't do a status of forces agreement is a joke. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to have an entity come in, a criminal terrorist element come in and basically take over that country. They've done that. They took over the Mosul Bank. They have hundreds of millions of dollars. They've moved on Syria. They have an airport now. They did have the Mosul Dam. Fortunately, we got it back. So let's start with just that one issue, Iraq. ISIS's goal is to have their own country and export terrorism around the region of the world and put a flag in the White House. That's their goal. Our goal needs to be sure that doesn't happen. And finally, the president has done something, and he's actually done those targeted airstrikes that I suggested were appropriate. Go after their command and control structure, their supply lines, push back, arm the Kurds, allow the Iraqi government to kind of take a breath and move forward and put those guys back on their heels. Now, that's what they're doing, and that's what we're doing. Foreign policy, remember, and you know it too, when the president said, hey, I'm drawing a red line. And if you cross that line, by golly, you're going to get the dickens knocked out of you.
That was
Well,
a bunch of BS.
guess what? By not doing anything, it shows that our allies don't trust us and our foes don't fear or respect us, and it's sent us down a path that is not appropriate. What they've done in Israel, not supporting our greatest ally in that region, it's the worst relations, I think, since the creation of the State of Israel with Putin and what's happening there. He doesn't respect the president. So what I would do is I would make sure that we take over the Senate, make Harry Reid the minority leader. We put people in charge of those committees who care about our freedom and democracy. And then we send a very powerful message, not only to all those bad actors by doing a top-to-bottom review of all the federal money we give them, but also sending a very important message not only through hearings, through resolutions, and through actually action. That's how you do it, Al. You do it. One thing we don't agree on everything, thank God, but I respect the hell out of you and the fact that you work hard and you say what you feel, and we're both patriots,
Right.
and we got to take back our state and our country.
What rank were you in the National
I ended up
Guard?
as a colonel.
A colonel? What did you do in the National
I
Guard?
started as an enlisted guy at 19. I joined because of the blizzard of '78. I saw what our
I was in Hawaii, by the way.
yeah, well, people
that
were dying
blizzard.
on our
Right.
highways, and a guard came through, and I was so impressed. I joined right after that, and went through ROTC at Northeastern, infantry officer, quartermaster, JAG. The last 4 years I was at the Pentagon working as a deputy to the chief counsel for General Grass, who's one of the Joint Chiefs, and we wrote the sexual assault regulations for the National Guard, did a lot of the reports of survey, a lot of the kind of stuff that you don't hear or read about, but it was enlightening to serve with men and women who have dedicated their entire lives to our country, and it was an honor.
When you were at the Pentagon, did you meet Lieutenant Colonel John Nodder? That's my uncle.
I did not.
Oh,
I
okay.
did not. I did, however, spend some time with General Green, who was assassinated in Afghanistan, and he was a real mentor and leader to us all.
Yeah. But you were in the International Guard.
The National Guard.
Okay.
is-
National Guard from Massachusetts.
I was
Just-
actually with Maryland.
Right.
I was in the
Oh, you were Maryland
I
National
have
Guard.
two sons in the Air National Guard.
Was
Yeah.
it because of a position, because of your rank, you...
Yeah, there was an opportunity,
Right.
in order to continue to serve. Plus, politics in the state was a little bit too much. I want my service to stand on its own and not let politics play a role in it. And it was appropriate for me to do what
Right.
I felt was
Which makes sense.
continue to
I can
serve.
respect that.
I'd still be there, and I'm sure you
Right.
would too.
Oh, without a doubt.
But
I
you know,
did
I've been,
22 years
I
active.
aged out. There's only a certain amount. It's called mandatory
Right.
removal date. I aged out. I love to stay. So
Hey, you know, I was on your website and I looked at it, and I liked what I seen about the better jobs. Can you go into that a little bit more? What your plan
well,
is?
sure. I mean, look at what's happening right now. I just went down to a pizza place right here. I'm not going to mention on air,
Well,
but
you can. I mean, it's a local
it
business.
was fantastic. The roast beef sandwiches were great. But I met
Giovanni's, okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Yes, it
All
was.
right. We support our local business.
Yeah,
here.
well, they're great people, and I walked in and they said, thank you for being here, and they started talking to me about their challenges. You have the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world. We have the highest business taxes in the area, New Hampshire does, and then you throw in Obamacare and the tentacles of that and the mess that is. After the election, the business mandate comes in. Then you have the, brick and mortar type rent, obviously salaries and the like. Then you throw in the energy costs. How do you get jobs? I'm not creating
Right. No,
jobs.
you're
Al. I'm
right.
not going to create jobs. I'm going to get the government out of the way so you and they can create jobs. And that's the biggest, it's a wet blanket right now on our job creators, and they're being attacked and demonized for trying to make people's lives better. And I, for one, am not going to do it. I'm going to thank them.
Right. That's
No.
why we need a Republican governor here. Very
That's why
important.
you need a Republican House
That's right.
Yes.
House and
to
Senate.
put you guys in leadership and
That's
get
right.
back to that establishing and regaining that New Hampshire advantage, because we're being chipped away, chip, 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 chip. Little here, little there, little
right.
here, little there.
Yeah, we've suffered through that in the New Hampshire State House. We have a lot of libertarian-leaning friends, very pro-Second Amendment, and we hear, you never know what to believe, what's true and what's not. So could you
Sure,
give
let
us
me
a
just say-
straight-out answer on the Second Amendment?
Yeah, for sure. I, like Al, joined at 19 years old to defend and protect our country. I signed on the dotted line. I signed on the dotted line to adhere to the tenets of our Constitution. As a gun owner, I appreciate the ability for me and others to carry their firearms. That being said, I've been well-trained and can fire expert in virtually any firearm that I've ever touched. Of course, I want people to have that right and that ability. I'm not going down there to propose any new legislation. I have, if you take my averages since I've been rated with the NRA, a lifetime A- average on those issues. Jean Shaheen has a F. Her door is not open. And the best challenge and the best thing I can tell all of the people that are listening right now, and what is a libertarian, by the way? Someone who's concerned about the fiscal and financial future of our country. So
Right.
am I. The ability
We are
to protect our rights and freedoms. Me too. I'm a fiscal conservative, a national security hawk, but on the social issues, I just want you to leave my wife and daughters and everyone alone, stay out of my bedroom, stay out of my house, and let them do their own thing.
Well, how do you feel about tax money being used to fund abortions?
Well, you're talking, I'm against federal funding of abortion. I'm against partial birth abortion. I believe very strongly that parents should play a role in those decisions for those young girls. I have a house full of women. I have a whole different philosophy than Senator Shaheen. She's being supported by all those groups who believe that you can get an abortion on demand. And while I believe that women have that right and should have that right to make that decision on their own, I believe we should have more adoptions. I'm working and
Right.
have worked and will continue to work to make sure we have more adoptions.
Of course, Janine and I were going to agree to disagree with you on the abortion thing. We're both
I
pro-life,
understand.
and I respect you. You know what I mean? We all. That's what makes America
Well,
great.
Al, here's the
But-
choice. I believe we need more adoptions.
Right.
And I am against as the things I referenced. And right now, if in fact I make it through, the people of this state, including you, are going to have a very, very clear choice. Someone like me who will open the door, we'll sit down and have that talk and grab a beer and
Right.
talk about it.
No, I agree.
And work towards providing that information and opportunity for people to
Right.
make a decision, or someone like Senator Sheen. So let's take that issue. Here it is. That's that life issue that you
Right.
care about, because there are great people on both sides of those issues. Let's put that aside. How about on all the other things we agree on? Senator
Oh,
Sheen's
no, I
voting against you
agree.
99% of the time.
Well, that's why I
Right.
wanted to go into it here. You know, I mean, we both of us were listening to Rick Perry's speech, and I'm very proud of what he's doing about the border.
course.
What would you do as a senator? Because Shaheen's not
I already
helping us
did
one
it.
bit.
I already voted on it to secure the border, provide troops, secure the border. I'm against the DREAM
What
Act.
happened with the money that day? Didn't they vote to do to put the fence up, build the?
Listen, the House put forth two good bills before they left for break, sent it over to the Senate, and what did they do? They went on vacation.
Yeah.
Because it's not important enough, apparently, to secure our borders. It's important, though, for them to go around, doing commercials about passing veterans bills when they shouldn't be taking that bow, when it only took veterans to actually be obviously die. But let's talk about immigration. I've supported the ability to send troops. I've supported the ability to secure our border. I'm against the DREAM Act and providing those incentives for people who are breaking our laws. Senator Shaheen is the complete opposite. And with all due respect, I believe it's a national security threat and it's an economic threat. And the question then for your viewers may be, well, Scott, what do you do with the kids? Listen, we're a compassionate country.
20%, Rick Perry said, of
Of
kids.
course
Yeah,
we're
but
going to
that's
take care
not
of the
just
kids.
kids. It's
But
not
let's
just
take the
kids.
kids and we need to get them all and bring them home. Because what the president has done by changing the definition of refugee, he's expanded that definition, taken a group of people, given them status, put them ahead of the almost 4+ million people who are trying to follow the laws and do the right thing, giving them benefits even ahead of our own
And
citizens.
where are their parents? Those children, where are their parents?
A
Who lets their kid go off to another country?
Great question, and there are mechanisms right now in place at our embassies to follow, and if they're being persecuted or they need political asylum or refugee status, they can go through the embassy. To think that they can just walk across the border and come on in, it's all right, we'll take care of you, it's just
Right.
wrong.
It is
But
wrong.
I'm also reading reports of ISIS, Hamas, jihadists coming across the
course.
border too.
It's no
And where are
secret.
they? Where are they in this country
Right,
lying
they're
low?
slipping out
They
through
could
another
rise up at
area.
any time. It's
I
scary.
hope that's not the case. I hope they're not coming in. I hope they're not coming in, but if they are,
That's what Rick Perry was saying.
we
who's
need to
coming
make sure
across.
that
Yeah.
our tools and resources are properly given to the Border Patrol and law enforcement personnel to do their jobs.
Where are you at on the Unaffordable Care Act?
Listen, I've already voted 4 times to get rid of it. They rammed it through. Remember, I got elected and they held my swearing in and then rammed it through what's called reconciliation. They changed the rules
Right.
through political
remember that.
machinations to ram it through. And by the way, when I got there are many, dozens and dozens of amendments to actually have you keep your doctor, keep your health care facility, try to fix it, so-called. And Senator Shaheen and every Democrat voted against it. And
Yeah.
now they're saying, oh, we're trying to fix it. We wrote a letter. Al, we wrote a letter.
Right, yeah.
That's great. Well, you had a chance to fix it and you haven't fixed it. We need to repeal it.
That's the
When you
same
were
thing with the.
running in, sorry, when you were
Okay.
running in Massachusetts, I had a radio show in Nashua, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
people calling. There were people all over the country that wanted to send money to
Well,
your
there still
campaign.
are. It's still coming in.
There was a picture in the newspaper of B.J. Perry here in
Yeah,
New Hampshire on his cell phone down in Massachusetts. There were people just flocked
Yeah.
down there to help
well,
you.
that's that same energy right now. That's what we're feeling. The momentum is with the endorsements for the union leader and the Telegraph and Foster's and others coming, and the endorsements from Kelly and McCain and Sununu's all the way through to Maureen Mooney and other activists.
Right, she's running for state
She's
senate and,
doing a
and
great
lives in
candidate. We
Merrimack.
wrote her a check last night. We have a great ground game, and the momentum feels really, really intense. And as a matter of fact, I mean, you can sense it because of I have 5 super PAC running against me right now.
Right.
Senator Shaheen and her allies are getting pretty desperate, talking about everything, by the way, except her record.
She wants you to control your spending, but she's going around the country
Yes.
raising money. What's up
And
with that?
raising money.
I don't
You know what's up
understand
with
it.
that.
Yeah.
She wants to have every advantage and not allow me to have that same advantage because
Can-
I'm holding the town halls. I'm going
Right.
to shows like this. I'm going around the state and she's not.
You know, there's some I had a concern with, and I'm hoping you can fix it. If you become New Hampshire Senator, Kelly Ayotte stood her ground and voted against the budget because of what they did was they went after the military retirees,
veterans.
the disabled veterans,
Yeah.
and they cut their COLA.
Shameful.
Now, Shaheen has, every time I see it, she has these commercials up, how she supports the veterans. She's stuck it to every veteran. She's taking credit for Berlin when she had nothing to do with it. We've been working on Berlin for the last 8-9 years.
I know.
Democrat Representative Robert TaBurge up in Berlin, myself, Chris Roberts, a few
aware of
others,
that, yep.
been fighting that battle
Yep.
for Berlin, and she's taking the credit. How can you go up there and make sure that New Hampshire's being taken care of with a full-service hospital or a medical card once and for
Well,
all?
first of all, Al, I lived it. 35
I know
years.
that, that's
I was
why.
on the Veterans Committee. We held hearings. I was the first one to put Shinseki on notice way back 2.5 years ago. I'm the first one to do it right now when he was when he was obviously messing up. She was the last one. That's my top priority is to, when have you ever heard, by the way, being a veteran yourself, when have you ever heard putting the veteran first? Oh, we have contracts, we have
During
unions, we have this, blah, 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 blah. Put the veteran first. Yeah,
She
Carter's
does it just during the political season.
well, she promised a full-service hospital, criticized Senator
Right.
Sununu, and she has not delivered. To take a bow and say that she did all this wonderful stuff, if you read the recent editorial by a veterans group, say that she wouldn't even meet with them. Veterans are smarter than that. They know what's going on.
That's right. You know, he talked about town halls. Of course, Shaheen has not had one town hall.
Yeah.
When she comes into my town, it's only Democrats invited. She's going to be doing a social here within the next week or so. $25 for hot dogs and hamburgers to come listen to politicians speak. I see you're all over the state.
Have one tonight.
You have one tonight?
Stratham, yeah.
Right, you had
Municipal
something, I
building.
understand, earlier this morning. and
Yeah,
I-
we had, listen, we're doing a typical New Hampshire grassroots campaign.
Will you keep it up?
Every month. I've already pledged to do a town hall. Kelly's already done 40. I like them.
Kelly is
And
unbelievable.
ours are open. We have,
Right.
just so you know, tonight we'll have the Democrats, because apparently they're supporting me, because she can't have a town hall, so they can't ask her questions,
Right.
so they're asking me. Protesters, Republicans, Independents, press, it's open. They ask any questions. It's what makes America tick.
You know, I got to go back to the Obamacare, and I know you said would you support the full repeal?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
how
I've
would you
already
fix
voted
it?
4 times.
I know, I heard you say that earlier, but how would you fix it? Because everyone's saying we're the party of no, no, no. How are you going to fix it?
KNOW.
Al, they want,
KNOW.
the people in Washington, the Democrats in particular, want you to think that Obamacare is the only answer, and that's a false premise. It's not the only answer. We can put in place something that works for New Hampshire, that addresses the catastrophic care, covering your kids, pre-existing conditions, covering the people that need it, you know, having competition, whether it's across border throughout the state, within our state. Remember, she changed the law. We lost 25 or 6 insurance carriers. We have 1. Supposedly more are coming in after the election.
Right.
Apparently, everything's
Yeah.
after the election.
That's right.
You know, veterans are going to be fixed after the
Yeah.
election, immigration after the election, so enough of the after election stuff. So you have a situation, we can develop a plan. We have you and others in Concord. We have good, veterans agents, and we have good healthcare people, providers. Got to get them all at the table and develop a plan. Other states have done it. I think Utah, Tennessee, Oregon, others have done these sorts of things. To think that it's the only answer is a false premise, and we can do it by respecting our rights and freedoms, making it competitive, allowing people to have various types of plans. Al and I aren't going to have any kids, Al. We don't need prenatal
Right.
dental
No.
anymore. Okay, but I do
I'm
need some
done.
good prostate care,
Right.
maybe, and some other things that affect people our age. And we should be able to go and bargain for that and get a good, competitive, fairly priced plan. And we,
Yeah. What can we do to entice businesses to come back to America? So many have left for foreign countries for
well, we
cheap
referenced
labor.
earlier in the show the challenges of businesses. If you go into any business, and I know you do because you're
Right.
active reps, you get it. But the people in Washington, all they're doing is they're continuing to put in more and more regulations. And there's a role for government. And I don't want to get me wrong, but government needs to know when to get out of the way. When you have Burger King looking to go to Canada because the tax rates are a little better, maybe that's time to open up your eyes and say, to have the president and the legislative leaders say, you know what, we got to become more competitive on a global basis. We have to reduce our corporate tax rate. We need to repatriate that offshore money. We need to allow businesses to have a 3 to 6 to 9 year plan, not a 3 to 6 to 9 3 to 6 to 9 month plan. We need a yearly plan, and we don't have that.
You know, I have the many concerns on sitting on state and federal relations, Veterans Affairs for the last 8 years. Foreign oil, energy plans. How do we get this under control where we're not depending on these terrorist countries for oil?
Well, one of the things we can do is approve the Keystone Pipeline, a no-brainer,
Yes.
good union, non-union jobs. I support it. I voted for it. Senator Sheen is against it. She's so tight with these ultra-left radical environmentalists that she's holding up every initiative for us to be energy independent. And what does that mean? Energy independence means that we can step back from our dependence of foreign oil, have that all-of-the-above approach, wind, solar, nuclear, hydro, geothermal, siting, permitting, with the key being that ordinary citizens need to be at the table when their lives are going to be affected by these decisions. And we can do it. We have the ability to export our natural gas to the point where we can pay down our debt and deficit. And at every turn, you have obstructionists stopping that opportunity. And that's how we do it.
Do you support an energy tax?
No,
Good.
no. She's proposing a national energy tax. She's
Right.
voted already for a cap and trade scheme that'll help raise rates and then gas prices a minimum of 22 cents. She's in favor of a new national gas tax. You know, she's running around doing commercials and doing bridge things. Well, where's the money coming from?
And if you
Right.
drive an electric car, you're not paying the
Not
tax.
paying anything.
She's not getting no money for the bridge. I want to make this clear to everyone watching. Her commercial is talking about the money she's bringing into New Hampshire to pay for 93. That is incorrect. We are bonding. We got a small portion of the transportation money here
Yeah,
in
the
New
tip money,
Hampshire.
yeah.
Okay?
Just like every state
They
gets.
raised the gas tax 4.2 cents. When the Democrats have siphoned 38 million are the 18 cents here in New Hampshire. So anyone that's telling you that 4.2 cent gas tax works, or the money that we're paying in federal tax, it did not come back to New Hampshire. Can you bring that money back to New Hampshire?
I've done it before. We're not getting the good value on the dollar. We have a dollar going in, we're getting, what, 70, 71, 2, 3 cents. Yeah, I'm going to work with Senator Ayotte and the legislative delegation, including you and others, to make sure we
Right.
have all the facts and tools and resources, and we do like we did when we were lobbying against the tolls. So we work together across
Right.
the lines and fight for what we deserve. I mean, the federal government, folks, I know you're shocked to hear this, everybody. It's not a good steward of your money.
That's right.
And
no,
every time, what's
not
the
at
first
all.
answer? Al, we just need a little bit more. You need to pay your fair
Yeah.
share.
Oh, without.
Yeah.
But you know something,
Yeah,
if
and
you
it's
think
only,
about
it's
it,
only such
when
a,
you
it's a
say the
little
fair
amount.
share, every time the tax goes up, somebody's quality of life diminishes. Somebody's food off their table has to take food off their table to keep their house. I mean, we have a Democrat here in my town who thinks the gas tax the best thing she voted for, the oil tax, the cigarette tax. That's going after the low income, the working people. It has
Yeah.
to stop.
Well, once again, I've never voted for a tax increase. I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe very strongly that the federal government has enough of our hard-earned money. Senator Shaheen, is not a tax she hasn't supported. I think she finally voted against the internet tax, but that's a no-brainer.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I have to ask a
Yeah.
question there, one thing that I have to hold him to, and because some of the gun groups here, I gotta know the answer.
yeah.
If a bill comes to Congress where they're trying to, we all know as being veterans, first of all, they're calling the AR-15, I own an AR-15, calling it an assault weapon, which we know it's not.
It's a modern sporting
If a
rifle.
vote comes to Congress, will you vote to kill that bill to make sure that they don't put any restrictions on us law-abiding citizens?
Well, as one of the law-abiding citizens, what I've said to you and everybody publicly, if and when any of those bills are even coming up, I will be the first to come back home to have a town hall meeting to sit down and get everybody's opinion, because I don't know all the minutia about every issue affecting the Second Amendment. There are good
Right.
attorneys who represent people like you and me on those very important issues. And what I've said and what I pledge is that I will not take a vote until I come back home and actually meet with you and others to get your input and guidance, because I don't know
Right.
it all.
Well, if you read Article 2A of the New Hampshire Constitution, very clear, cut and dry, to protect yourself,
Listen, Al,
protect others.
I have no
Right.
problem protecting me and my family. I am a
Wherever you have the
I am
right
a
to
gun
be.
gun owner. I have my license. I had it before I moved back home. So, to take and comment on my comments, I am concerned, as I think you and you are, about mental health issues affecting people. How do people who are deranged getting their hands on
Right.
firearms and killing people? We have to have that conversation.
Right.
And once they're in fact deemed healthy again, they need to have a mechanism to get back and allow them to exercise their rights.
Yeah.
And that's
Well-
not
Catch
appropriate right
22.
now.
Well, I can tell you, I have not supported any of the senators, okay, in this race here coming forward, because I'm focused on getting Bill O'Brien to be the new speaker again, so we can make a lot of business tax changes here in New Hampshire. But I guarantee if you win the election, I will be the first one standing up tall and
Thank you.
side by
I
side.
knew that.
in
Well, I can
support.
stand up, but I can't stand up tall because I'm only 5'2" on a good day.
Well, we'll put you
I'll
on a
try.
pedestal like Al does, so.
Yeah, she does a great job, Janine. We work hand in hand.
Yeah,
on
you have
many-
to. It's a team effort, folks. And,
Right.
it's even, it's not just about Republicans. It's about good people, good Americans who care about the direction of our country.
Well, we're down to about a minute. Let me ask, Scott, how do people want to get in touch that want to help you with your campaign?
Well, they can go right on scottbrown.com. We're right at 379 Elm Street in Manchester. We have other offices that are opening up. The momentum's great. And like I said, I respect Bob and Jim, and we're going to battle to the end. But we need to have the ability to beat Senator Shaheen, and I believe I can do
Without a
that.
doubt, I agree 100%. Janine, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, the state website's the
State
best. I
website.
do check the email.
And I'm Al Baldasau. Once again, you can stop by my house or check out www.albaldasau.com. Call me on the phone, 425-6997. I'm glad we've got Scott to come in here so we can clarify some of these questions that a lot of people have had. And we'll see you at the polls.